Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Hearthstone. We went long and yet I have very little to talk about and a lot to do. So we need to win 3 games with Rogue. And I think I can do this if I play Standard here and play this Rogue. Then play it ranked 24. I think I can get 3 victories on rank 24 because those are the worst of the worst players, worse than casual players by far. So Japan, in some small amount, just this year, really, is starting to open its eyes to PCs. The Xbox 360, Xbox One, all of them have never been big sellers in Japan. So it's only been Sony and Nintendo. Nintendo has been releasing more and more weaker platforms. So weaker and weaker platforms each generation for nearly 5 to 10 years now. Like, at least 3 generations. The Wii U, the Wii was a weaker console, at least in how you let's do this,
You're not that sharp.
and then this, and this.
What you got there?
End of turn. Alright. And Sony had the PlayStation 3, sure. PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 were big sellers all over the world. PlayStation 3 came out, and I think it was a moderately big seller in Japan. It was definitely the best seller in Japan. But PlayStation 4 now is kind of the only thing to have, and there kind of needs to be some competition. And in Japan, it really can, since it's not going to be Xbox and it's not going to be Nintendo Switch, it's starting to be PC. Now, there have certainly been niche, more niche PC games that have always come out. There's a pretty big history of PC games coming out for Japan, but frankly they're mostly sex games. That's just kind of how it is. The Nintendo was super child friendly. Let's see, deal 1 damage. We can do this.
Victory for Silver. A little cut.
Here we go.
So now we're starting to see Japan take notice of PCs. Perhaps PCs are the new fad. Japanese people for a long time were about buying fad products, and I think now you're not gonna. Maybe they're the next new fad for a while. And one of the issues is they took up too much space, and I suppose now the standards and the power in which you can get a powerful machine while it still only takes up a small amount of space, it has become a factor too.
This guy's toast.
Just smash the face here. Because we have that mini ITX, micro ITX standard for PCs, and the all-in-one PCs are really small. So no longer do you have this huge tower in your place. They might be a power efficiency thing, because I'm pretty sure in Japan, like in some places in Europe, you pay for your power at the meter using coins, and so you'll just run out of power and you have to stick more in the meter. So do I want to have a 6/7, or do I want to give plus 2 attacks? Okay, we'll do this, and we'll do this, and then we'll do this.
Here we go.
So, I'm not really sure why it's happening, but it seems like it's happening. And for that, the actual fact I can report you is that 6 Japanese games from NIS America, which doesn't stand for Nintendo something. It probably, if I was to guess, stands for Nippon Interactive Software, if I was to guess. But Nippon being Japanese for Japan, which is always a weird thing. So why don't English people or people in the United States at least call countries by their own name? That's one of those arguments that will occur a lot, and is probably not the greatest answer. But unfortunately, in digging deeper, since I really had a short list of things to talk about, there's a problem with the 6 games from NIS America that are coming out this year. One of them is very, very interesting to me in particular, and that is Psychopath's Mandatory Happiness, which is based on an anime, so it's not going to be incredibly let's see, do I want this back? If I do this and this, that would do 6 damage. If I do this and then this, that would be 4 damage. So this and then this.
Job's done.
Psychopaths is based on an anime. The anime is pretty good in the first season. The second season was done by a completely different group of people, and it's just different because then the group that was doing the first season went to make a movie instead, and so some weirdness there. So who knows how much influence the actual creators of this series, and I don't even know if it's based on a manga, so I don't know how much of that is finished or how much of that either, but it was definitely a very well-known and popular anime to come out. So a game coming out like that, you figure might be of some interest to anime fans. That being said, the Ghost in the Shell first-person shooter, I think, is out now, and it really didn't do too much as far as people interested in playing it. I think part of the problem there is the game didn't really encapsulate the story of Ghost in the Shell, instead just trying to make an action game based around the characters, which kind of is ignoring why the series and the movies in the series are good. That may not be out yet. They may be trying to time that around the Ghost in the Shell Western movie, which that Western movie and any controversy around it is ridiculous, and it's fake made up controversy, I think, mostly because being upset that Scarlett Johansson is playing the Major in it, and that it's Western actors covering a Japanese movie, completely ignores the fact that there have been at least a couple of live action versions in Japan of Ghost in the Shell. So they have totally already made Ghost in the Shell, the original movie, in animation, the Japanese version, the probably pinnacle and best version to watch, whatever cut or Blu-ray version of that you get. I don't know which one of those would be the best. I think I personally own it on Blu-ray and the 20th anniversary on DVD if I can stretch my eyes over there and look at them on the shelf. But I bet there's been a new version of the Blu-ray since I bought it. Since I've fallen out of the collecting aspects of it, and now it's just become this pretty bookshelves full of movies I'll never have time to watch. But ignoring the anime movie, the original, ignoring the several remakes and continuations and sequels to it, you also have several live action in Japanese actors that have done Ghost in the Shell. So one more version of it really doesn't do anything. The only people in my mind that have a right to be upset about this and say there's a controversy is the people that are going to say directly that they have used this this product too much, that they've simply
here we go.
I should have hit one of these characters actually. They've beaten this story into the ground. Similarly too, I think Amazon Prime is gonna do a Death Note live action TV series. That'll be interesting. Either it's Amazon Prime or Netflix, and that'll be interesting too. I'm fine with seeing Western versions of Eastern things because you've got to realize that anime is a niche market. It just is. So doing, let's see.
Here we go.
Doing Western versions of things, if it gets more viewers, that's a good thing. If it gets more publishers. The Scarlett Johansson Ghost in the Shell, if it's good, or even if it's bad, in the end, it's still going to help the anime market because more people are going to want to go watch the original. And this almost certainly will be like the Marvel movies, where the Marvel movies are different retellings of Marvel comic books, and they probably won't do anything to actually they probably won't do anything to actually promote the original anime. They won't have it on store shelves or in some other way.
We are the sword in the shadows.
Or promote it in the same way that the Marvel, ideally in every Marvel movie, as you're walking in and out of that theater, should have a cardboard stand with comic books for sale, or they should have comic books for sale at the concession stands. There should be something like that. I mean, I could see if the comic books are just in the hallway of a movie theater, it'd be so easy to grab it and steal it. So you'd probably have to think a little bit by that, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the areas where arcades are start getting turned into gift shops in movie theaters. That is assuming movie theaters don't just fall apart on their own, which they very possibly will. So watch this. We're gonna do this and give this guy 10 attack.
Shadow strike.
Attack. And we gotta play this guy.
Here we go.
And should I kill this guy and save myself 2 health? Or do damage to the face? I think I should do damage to the face. So yeah, Japanese games seem like they're more and more coming to the PC. That seems like a good thing. I would like to see producers of other games from other countries, if they exist, come to Steam and the PC in particular. I think Witcher 3 in particular proved that that can be very, very profitable. So I hope to see more of that.
Shadow strike.
Here we go.
There you go. But at the end of the day, that also is going to flood the marketplace. Like, we've already got a lot of, like, games. The Psychopaths is the one game that caught my idea. There is another Ys game, that's Y''S, coming out in that series. That's a very popular series, but it's like Ys 13, so like Final Fantasy, I'd have to do a lot of construction and work to get to that point. And Ys is just a top-down RPG game, so it's Japanese games in general are heavy about the characters, heavy in the RPG elements, and heavy in the story, all of which don't play greatly to the Western markets, because you're not going to get something like Gears of War from a Japanese company. It will just have different senses and sentimentalities to it. That is one of the things I've recognized as I started watching Gametsu on Twitter, is that Japanese games release character trailers pretty consistently, and a news report from Gametsu really is just 3 sentences saying this new character trailer is out. And it's just a trailer talking about showing off this one character, mostly in the art style, but a little bit in the characterization too, I would say. But
Job's done.
I saw a new one, Senran Kagura, which seems to be a mixture of fighting girls animes, but they're running around with water guns, squatting each other in bikinis, and on the face of it, it kind of looks just like a non-squidified version of Splatoon, but it definitely has that Japanese extra to it, because Senran Kagura is a not actual sex, but how would you say it?
Here we
It's a naughty game, one might say. Give him any +2 attack.
Ha, this guy's toast.
So after, in different sections, you have the camera mode, you'll have the pinch and poke and fondle mode, and so I was looking at this trailer and I'm like, oh, this one might work, because I'm thinking in the back of my head, sadly but kind of predictably, Honey Pop worked really, really well on my channel. It got probably double the number of views of most of my other shows, and that's an interesting animation. And so, because Honey Pot works so well, I kind of have to think to myself, maybe I should always cover a game like that. And it's hard to find games like that that aren't just going to be constantly showing nudity or sex. Honey Pop in particular was very limited, and only required a moderate amount of censoring. If I start going other directions with this, like it would take so much more work to double my views, then it probably wouldn't be worth twice as many views. Plus, it starts putting my channel in just a little bit of jeopardy and not really where I want it to be. Like, that just as it stands, that's not really what I want my channel to be about, is covering a bunch of sex games. I don't mind doing it every now and then. I could see myself doing it every Valentine's Day because that works for that month, and I could see myself maybe doing it every 3 or 4 months. And if I was going to really go down into romance games where there's a lot of dialogue choices, I could see putting romance choices in between the actual sex games and just kind of teasing people and saying, well, maybe this game has something in it, maybe it doesn't, because that's how, frankly, it works. That is exactly how it works, is half of these games are teasing and implying that you might see something when you really won't. So that is a concern, but I'm still thinking about it. I'm still trying to get a full view on it. So far, so good, I suppose. Nobody has flagged it as inappropriate. I haven't gotten anything like this game has been content moderated, or you're getting a community strike. That's inherently the worst thing that could happen, is that I would get a community strike and then the game, and then whatever I did won't be worth it at all. Let's see, what do I want to do? I probably want to return this guy and then play this guy.
Yeah, beat it.
And there we go. That worked pretty well. Several of the other games from NIS were just like RPG games, like Final Fantasy. I can't go down that route, not yet. First things first, I need to cover Final Fantasy. If I've covered the important Final Fantasies, then I'll start to think, okay, let's cover the other RPG games that are just like Final Fantasy, but lesser known. And see, that would be the Yi series. It would be a major one right there, and there's a lot of smaller ones. And depending on how they look, depending if they're voice acted, because I don't want to sit there and have to read thousands of lines of dialogue because it's voice acted only in Japanese or not voice acted at all. That's just not going to work good on the channel, I don't think. So that's no good either. You know, I probably need to hurry up now since we are going long in this. Only 2 more things to talk about. The other NIS games. I think Danganronpa is going to come out. That is an RPG game with a different style, so I'd probably have that on my short list too. Plus, there's only 3. Well, maybe, I think actually there's probably close to 5 or 6 games about it, but not too bad. Somebody decided to mail $10,000 worth of Super NES games from the UK, I believe, to America. And the real question that happens in my head is, how do you get $10,000 in Super NES games? They must include some very rare games. It was possibly one shipment of a complete collection. 10,000 seems to be just kind of a rough number to pick, though. I really, I can't imagine that. Like, are Super NES games that expensive? Like, let's say each game is worth $10. you would need 1,000 games. Let's say each game is worth $100, you would need 100 games. So this and in return. So they sent it through the mail. They had insurance only up to the point where it left the UK. This is probably true for any international shipping. If you have insurance, it probably only covers up to the point where it leaves your own country, and then the way the mail typically works is that as a courtesy, things get delivered for free from international mail. So if I spend like a lot of money posting something internationally from the UK, then the US postal system will deliver it for free, just as a courtesy. And vice versa, if I spend a lot to ship something from the United States, then to the UK would deliver it for free. And this ends up causing some real interesting things, where if you buy something from like China on Amazon.com or Alibaba, the shipping to you can be free, but if you need to return it because it's a low quality product, which being a Chinese product, there's a good chance of that. That's a cheap low blow, but it's true. You'll end up spending like way more than the product is worth to send it back to China to get a refund. So that's really weird. And at the end of the day, theft is rampant. I don't even know. I would hand deliver $10,000 worth of Super NES things, honestly. I would pay somebody to... a flight from the UK to the United States is not that expensive, maybe $1,000. And mailing things in the mail is not a good move, obviously. Because it seems that somebody's just stole it. Stole it right out of the mailbox, out of the postal system. Not out of the mailbox, but my guess is some deliverer, some shipper in the post system is going to get arrested eventually for a federal crime of interfering with the delivery of mail. But until then, they've got $10,000 worth of video games, and the poor person that was supposed to receive those games will probably never see it back, because if it gets recovered, it'll just be used as evidence in a court case, and then trying to recoup it is going to be very, very difficult. So yeah, that kind of sucks for them. I think they weren't being cautious enough, though, if we're just going to be honest. That
This time for sure.
I'm not going to win here. Alright, let's move forward, though. Conan Exiles is still in beta. It enabled a region lock that locked out some countries out of official servers, which kind of sucked. Still kind of watching somebody cover Conan Exiles, but it's getting worked on, so there's a real factor to consider, just how like that game could be completely different by the time we're done. And we're gonna have to go for one more game. So on the E3 front, Microsoft has moved up their conference for E3, which probably doesn't mean much. It just, if it's getting moved up, that probably means that that a better slot was made available because somebody decided not to have a conference this year. And Bethesda is going to have a conference. And we know this, and we had already heard about this, but they say they have 3 projects going on right now, and 2 are classical Bethesda, quote-unquote classical. And so I looked at Bethesda because ideally you kind of guess that what they mean by classical Bethesda is that they're making another Fallout, they're making another Skyrim, Elder Scrolls game. Not Skyrim. It won't be called Skyrim. It'll be Elder Scrolls something else. You can kind of assume that that is what it is. But then it also is kind of weird because it's really not in the... We're not ready for another Elder Scrolls game yet because they just released Elder Scrolls Online update. So unless they're just pushing that out and then they're going to say within a year the next Elder Scrolls game is available, which is possible, but it would be a little premature. And it's way too premature to put out another Fallout game. Fallout just came out, so unless they're gonna make announcements on games that will be out when they're ready, I don't know what they're doing. And then you could assume that the third non-classical game might be a new IP, or it might just be a continuation of Doom 2, all of which are the safe beliefs. But what's a little bit interesting to see is what it might be otherwise. Oh, son of a... I used that on the wrong card. So, looking at all the games that Bethesda's released, and they have several series, but not actually that much variety. And Bethesda has acquired some companies, which in their acquiring of companies, they might actually own some rights to games that I didn't see.
We must cleanse
but
the Sunwell.
Recently, they've done Doom by acquiring id Software, so they could do Doom 2. We talked about that. But they also did The Evil Within, which was the kind of utterly forgettable now in comparison to Resident Evil 7 game.
Here we go.
That was supposed to be kind of like RE4. But they might do an Evil Within 2 because even though they've seen RE7 and they've been utterly defeated by a better quality game, it seems, as most people will say, they probably were already in development for the Evil Within 2, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was it. They could be doing Rage 2. Now that would certainly be out of nowhere, because, like, there's not a huge enough fan base of Rage 2. I want to go back and play Rage before too long, but I'm not sure I'll get around to it. It looked like it was a really great looking game and kind of like Borderlands.
What you got there?
But they could do Rage 2. They could also do Pirates of the Caribbean 2 because they did that game. And that's a possibility because there's a new Pirates of the Caribbean game, so it wouldn't be incredibly crazy if they were going to just have that come out. But see, then that seems like a ridiculous one to guess on. In fact, all 3 of these possible classical games seem just so unrealistic. Like, if they have to do the Evil Within 2, I can see it. I seriously doubt they were ever working on a Rage 2. And I kind of seriously doubt that they're making a Pirates of the Caribbean just to be in line with the movie. So, I don't know what the two classical games could be, except for maybe Doom 2. Or just sticking to their base and doing Fallout and another Fallout and another Skyrim. And maybe they just want to show off some things and get more feedback immediately. I don't know. Well, we've gone over on our time, and my little digital whiteboard's battery is either dying or it is just not working as well anymore, because now I'm having to press the button multiple times to erase it, and that's no good. And it's still not erasing, so either my battery is dying completely or what. We covered everything. Unfortunately, we didn't get that third victory. I'll get that off screen. We're below 7,000, and that's not where I want to be. When I get 50, I'll be back up above 7,000, but we spent 150 on the arena run. I hope you enjoyed these 3 recordings. I'm amazed I could actually get 3 recordings here. I'm still trying to click the button. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.